Hi everyone, welcome to Wednesday night. It is time for our wonderful live stream and I'm so happy to be here with all of you guys, and we'll just give it a minute for everybody to jump on with us because we have a wonderful show tonight. We have a wonderful guest and I'm so excited to be able to bring you this topic. It's something that we've been wanting to do for a long time. It's a topic that we did many years ago. It's been quite a few years now since we did this one, and it's always good to talk about how to take care of ourselves, because when we have a new baby, we're always thinking about the baby and sometimes mom gets forgotten. So let's give it a minute for everyone to jump on, and I see them, and I'm going to just turn on my little phone here because then I get to see all of your faces as well and all your love and hearts. So hold on one second, and I see everybody coming to the table here. Ah, there we are. See, okay. Oh, and I forgot to turn down my volume. So hold on. You're going to hear a noise. There we go. There we go. All right. Hold on. Sorry, guys. I definitely was not prepared. See, we sat here getting prepared, and then I wasn't prepared. There you are. Hi, everyone. Okay. My Wi-Fi is being crazy tonight, but I see you jumping on. So I'm sitting here with my very special guest. I have Monica Amsterdam here with me. She is a functional diagnostic nutritional practitioner and a health coach. And that's a lot. That's a mouthful, okay? And so I'm super excited to have her here to talk about a topic that is super important and sometimes gets forgotten, which is postpartum self-care, taking care of yourself after baby, everything that you need to know to get yourself healthy again and to restore yourself back to optimal health so you can be the best mommy possible. And I'm going to turn it over to Monica for a moment so she can introduce herself and tell us what a diagnostic nutritional practitioner is so that everybody understands as well, and your experience.
Great.
Because it's so amazing and wonderful. And I love that you're here with me because so many of my guests lately have been so far that they are, remote, and to have you here in my home, welcome to my home. Very happy to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me, and I would like to say hi to everyone. My name is Monica Amsterdam, and what functional diagnostic nutrition is bridges the gap between functional medicine and nutrition. So functional medicine, it looks at the root cause of a symptom or a disease. And functional diagnostic nutrition bridges the gap between that one and nutrition. And I use the innate ability of our body to rebalance, to go back to homeostasis.
Yeah.
So to be able to get back to health.
Excellent, excellent. And how much nutrition really does play into that? Because what we eat,
Absolutely.
what we take into our body,
Yes.
is how our bodies will respond to
Absolutely.
and heal ourselves.
Absolutely.
Basically, and I know that's what you do. And that's why when Monica and I met and we started talking about all the different topics that we could bring to you and talk about to help you, I thought, let's start with postpartum, and then there'll be more. We're going to talk. We have so many different ideas that we're going to keep on discussing. But here, everybody's jumping on. Welcome to the show, everybody. And tonight, too, we have amazing sponsors. So we have some really great partners who are probably jumping in as well. I'm looking for them here in the chat room. We have Back Buddy by Mom's Essentials, and we're both sitting here talking about how comfortable the Back Buddies are.
Extremely.
We were like, we had to sit on the couch tonight because it's so comfortable to sit with our Back Buddies. They all love Back Buddy. They see me sitting with it every single time I do the show. So that's our first prize tonight as well. And we also have Rumina Nursing Wear, which you guys all know and love too. They make the amazing nursing bras and tanks that you can breastfeed with and also pump with. And we just figured tonight we want to make sure that even our prizes are products that will support mom, because again, everything's for baby. So these two prizes are for you, and so somebody's going to win that. So if you guys want to win the great prizes tonight, all you have to do is like or love this post, and then comment here throughout the live stream. Just tell me what you love about the Rumina tanks and bras and also the back buddy, and we'll have 2 winners. So excellent, excellent. So we've got a lot of information to get through, and you guys had a lot of questions, and I want to be able to answer your questions as well. So I'm going to go ahead and keep going through the topics here so we can try to get to as much information as possible. And if you know someone who just had a baby or could really use this information, go ahead and share it. I think there's a share button. Joe, is there a share button there? Is there a share button? Yes, right? Okay, so you guys can hit share right there, and then that will share it out and send it to someone who needs this information. Okay. So the main thing that we felt was important was that there was a couple things that when it comes to postpartum, that postpartum period for mom, that you really are the most important things to think about, to work on, are replacing all the nutrients that are lost, right?
Absolutely.
During the pregnancy. And we know that happens. The baby does take from you, okay? And that's how the whole baby is formed, is from all of your stores. So one of the important things is replacing the nutrients that are lost, also returning to a healthy weight again, so whether that's losing weight or returning to your pre-pregnancy weight, and then making sure that your nutrition is optimal, which is of course why Monica's here to talk about all that, because as we were just saying, nutrition is probably the #1 thing that you can do to make sure that you're as healthy as you can be, and to really take care of your long-term health as well, not just the recovery and
Absolutely.
the healing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's so important. Whether you've had a vaginal birth or a C-section, that's going to really impact it, and we'll talk more about that. But even just long-term, and it's probably a great time to get into good habits.
Absolutely.
You know,
yeah.
even if you weren't like eating
It's
really
like
great,
a new
or
start.
like a fresh start, and it is a transition. I mean, motherhood, when you right after you deliver, you've transitioned their life. You've basically started your life over again. And as moms, we know that you never remember what it was even like before. So it's a great fresh start.
Yeah, and sometimes women, they cannot enjoy this beautiful part of their life.
Absolutely.
And like myself, I had a well only once because maybe they're tired, because they're fatigued, because they're postpartum depression. And there is always a cause.
Yeah.
So find out what is the root cause, why you have those symptoms.
Yeah.
And there is some testing then that can be done, taking the right supplements, and also having the right diet.
Fantastic. And there's so much to know. I mean, even as myself as a midwife, wasn't necessarily everything that we learned. So it's important to learn from an expert such as yourself about what are those specifics.
And also keeps changing.
And
I love my field because it keeps changing.
It keeps changing. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Vanessa's saying she's watching this while she's in labor. Oh, congratulations. We're so honored that you want to spend your labor with us. Well, I can't think of a better place for you to be tonight than to be watching with us. Hopefully we'll help you get through these contractions.
Yeah, you will have all our support.
Fantastic. Congratulations. Okay, so let's talk. Let me go to one of the first questions that actually came in. This question, it was so great. So I'm about to hit 70,000 followers. Woohoo! We're super excited, 70,000 people. And the thing about that I love the most is that when I look to see so many new moms are jumping on to follow, and it's from all over the world. Like literally, we have people all over the world who are now following the page. And the first question that I saw that came in was from a lady, a new mom in India. And she posted this question. Her name is Parul. She said, "Hi, I'm from India. And I had a C-section in December this past year, and now her baby is 6 months old, and she's completely fine, but I'm not. At times I feel restless and tired, sleepy and weak from inside. Could you please suggest some good diet plans to gain energy for handling my baby?" And I think that a good place for us to start is with nutrition.
Absolutely. First of all, I will make sure then there is enough iron in her diet, and because she's in India, a lot of people in India are vegetarian.
Okay.
So they could have a B12 deficiency, and that it could be a cause of those symptoms.
Yes.
So she can check her vitamin B12 levels with a simple blood test, but sometimes that can be deceiving.
Right.
Because if there is a genetic mutation, then we will talk later. Sometimes it looks like it's elevated, and people say, oh, maybe I take too much, or I don't need to take vitamin B12, but actually is a sign of deficiency.
Oh, okay.
And instead then decrease what they're taking, or don't take it at all, they have to increase it.
Gotcha.
So make sure then you have enough B12. Make sure you take also vitamin C, because without vitamin C, your body cannot absorb iron. So I don't know if during C-section maybe you lost a lot of blood, and that can also cause anemia. So that has to be addressed as well.
Okay. And so how do the different needs vary from woman to woman? I mean, I would assume that nutritional needs, like everything else, what factors would influence the differences in what people need from their nutrition?
That is what I love my job.
Yes.
Because not two people are the same. Even if they're the same symptom, the approach might be different.
But like their age,
because
some moms are older having their children.
Absolutely. So definitely, if you are active, if you are sedentary, the needs are different. If you are older, or if you are a teen mom, the needs they might be different. And in addition to that, you have to find what it works for you, because we are all different. So maybe certain food then they are good for you and they help you, they might don't help me.
Right.
Because my unique biochemistry.
Right.
So always listen to your body. If you take something or you eat something because you read then it's good for you, or your friend takes it and she feels great, and you don't, stop. Always listen to your body. We will not be here as a species if we will not listen our body and do what we think is best for us.
That's such a good point, because you can hear all this information, and like Monica just said, you can hear from an expert or from a friend who says, I eat this every day and it makes me feel really good, and then you try it and your body's not reacting to it the same way.
Absolutely, yeah.
And if you're not feeling good by eating certain foods or engaging in certain activities, that's your body giving you messages. That's
absolutely.
It's your body's communicating
absolutely.
with you.
Absolutely.
I believe that it really does. And so it's important to tune in and to really feel like, how do I feel eating this? And I know, for example, some people feel better when they eat less carbohydrates. Some people feel better when they eat some more. But that doesn't mean that two people are the same.
Absolutely,
So,
absolutely.
Very good advice. Very, very good advice. And when it comes to, I know that when we talk about pregnancy, the requirement for protein is really high, but that's also the same postpartum.
Exactly.
So how much, just so that they have a kind of a range, how much protein are we talking about so that they understand how much, because I think a lot of people really eat way too many carbs and not enough grams of protein. And that's really important.
And also, not all protein are created equal. Because you want to make sure then you have a complete protein. That it might be a little bit more challenging if somebody is vegetarian or vegan.
Right.
So it's very important to eat all different type of legumes. Quinoa is a complete protein. But also rotate the food that you're eating. Don't eat the same food all the time, because that can also lead to a food intolerance.
Totally. I just learned about that, about eating, different foods, switching it up every day. Because I'm one of those people who, when I like something, I keep eating it the same thing. So even healthy foods, I'm not even talking unhealthy, but like when I like berries, I'll eat berries every single day. But it is important for our bodies to keep switching up, right?
One thing that I always tell my patient is eat with the seasons. Unfortunately, most of us, especially here in the US or even in Europe, you don't know what is in season, because we have strawberry all year round,
Right.
we have blueberries all year round, oranges. So I have patient ask me, what is in season?
Right.
So I can give you the list, but you can also go online and Google it and try to favor the food
So
that is
interesting.
in season, because during the winter time you want food that is more warming.
Yeah.
In general, I don't recommend, especially living in the Northeast, to have a salad or keep eating salad in the middle of the winter, because you're trying to lose weight.
Right.
And the same in the summertime, you're not going to feel having a soup.
Right.
So you want something cooling. And actually in nature, we already have everything that we need at that time of the year.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What about let's skip over to like good fats, because that's another component
Absolutely,
of nutrition
yeah,
that I
yeah.
think needs specific attention.
Yes.
And also when it comes to fats too, you know, we talk about this, we're not going to talk a lot about breastfeeding tonight because we cover it so much, but when it comes to breastfeeding, you know, there's not much you can do to change the quality of your milk from your diet. We're talking mostly about how to be healthy yourself. But when it comes to the fats, you can impact the type of fat that is in the milk by what you're eating. Not so much how much fat is in the milk. You can't make your milk fattier by eating more fats, but you can impact by eating high quality good fats.
Absolutely, because also that, especially the omega-3, they go in the breast milk, and your baby's gonna be having omega-3, and that is good for brain development.
Right.
And also is good for mother for postpartum. I test some of the patient and I do the fatty acid, and I see what are lacking or what maybe they are the wrong type of fat, like trans fat.
Right.
So if you have trans fat, you know, then you don't have a healthy diet, and that is something that also should be avoided because they are inflammatory. So, and they can cause
So
other
what would you
issues.
recommend that they, what are some foods, like I saw somebody was saying avocados.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, which are amazing. That would be a great food. And then what else would you recommend that they maybe eat? Because
Avocado, olives.
you got to be careful also, like with the fish oils and stuff, that because the fish can have
well, that's why I'm very particular in the brand of supplement, and I recommend to all the patients, but especially if you're pregnant, planning to get pregnant, or breastfeeding,
right?
Because everything you're taking, they go in the breast milk. Unfortunately, most of the commercial fish oil, instead of be anti-inflammatory, they be pro-inflammatory, because they might use solvents to extract the oil.
Yes.
Or they use heat, and now the oil is rancid.
Yep.
The other issue is what is the part per billion of heavy metals?
Yes.
Even if they go by the government regulation, for me still be too high.
Right.
So I use only certain brands of fish oil, then I know they are tested, and they are tested from also an independent lab. So I'm very
Is
specific.
there a brand? Is it similar to the prenatals that we were talking about?
I love the brand. The brand is called Zymogen, spelled with the X.
Okay, and they're asking about prenatals and supplements. So let's talk about that, and then we can also give them the recommendations for the brand that. And Joe's going to go ahead and post up the brand, because it's not something that you can purchase in the store. If this is something that you want to get, you can go ahead and order it from their website, and you actually need to put in a code and a practitioner name, because it's
they don't sell
it direct like that. So but we're providing it there for you. Let's talk about the prenatal vitamins.
Yes.
As they're asking about supplementation, because you can take these prenatals during pregnancy, and then this is a question I get asked a lot is should I continue with my prenatals? And my answer is, if it's the ones that you get by prescription from your doctor, then no, don't take those. But if it's the ones that Monica's going to recommend and explain to you, then yeah, continue that postpartum and throughout breastfeeding as well.
Unfortunately, there is a few brands that I really don't know, because I don't prescribe any medication to patients. Then are okay, but it's only like one brand, and so far I never saw any one of my patients using those brands. Most of the time they have synthetic vitamins. So look at your vitamins and two things. If they have cyanocobalamin, that's not the best type of vitamin B12.
Yeah, that's a type of B12, and it's cyanocobalamin. Okay, so that's what you'll see, and it's a synthetic form of the vitamin.
Correct. And also cyano, because it has a molecule of cyanide bind to the cobalamin. It's not gonna kill you, but it's still like a cyanide. So vitamins in general, we take it from birth until we get old. So how much poison you want in your body?
Yeah.
Also folic acid.
This is a huge one.
That's a huge one.
Let's spend some time on this, because you guys all know and you hear about that you should be taking folic acid, and that it prevents against spina bifida and neural tube defects, and we all know that we need to have our folic acid levels and so this is something that everybody needs to hear about, because it's important.
Absolutely. So if your genes are not working perfectly, and specifically for folic acid is a gene called MTHFR. MTHFR. And if you have a mutation on that gene, and there is different mutations, could be some they are more severe than other mutations. Your body cannot really metabolize the folic acid. And what happens is not only is not going to help you, but even if you have the perfect diet, eating a lot of green leafy vegetables, because that is folate is in greens. Now you have the folate receptor that is being blocked by the folic acid, and you're not able to absorb the folate from the vegetables that you're eating.
Yes.
In addition to that, too much folic acid, the synthetic folic acid in circulation can put a personal risk in the future. Again, it's not something that is going to happen from one day to the next one, or for 1 month to the next one. But through the years, it can put a personal risk to develop certain cancers.
Okay.
But also, if you don't have the folate, that is what your body needs, and if you have folic acid and you have that genetic mutation, you can even be at risk to have more postpartum depression. Your body doesn't detoxify properly. The methylation is impaired. And methylation is a biochemical process that is essential for us to be able to live.
Yeah.
And so if that process is impaired, it helps to repair the DNA, helps with the neurotransmitters. So if that is impaired and you take folic acid instead of the methylated form, now you can have issues.
So what exactly should they be looking for to take instead of the folic acid?
In general is L-methyl folate. That if you see a L in front, in general, that is the right formulation.
Okay, so the L-methyl folate.
Correct.
So we're talking about folate versus the folic acid.
Exactly.
And what you see in your prescription prenatals and what you're told to take by your OBGYN is folic acid, which is the very thing that we're talking about here.
Right.
And that what it'll do is, like, I'm just going to repeat what Monica was explaining. It will block the receptors for the folate that you may be getting from eating all these healthy foods like spinach and green leafy vegetables, so that your body can't even absorb or utilize the folate, and that could right there put you at risk not only for a baby with birth defects and problems, but then later on cancer for yourself later in life.
I mean, later in life.
Later.
But there is also other health issues if you have that genetic mutation. And I test all our patients for the MTHFR.
Mm-hmm.
Statistics they say then 35% of the population has that one form or another one of that genetic mutation.
Yeah.
My patients, I can say probably like 96 to 98%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
With one form or another one.
Wow. Okay. So that's something that you definitely want to do a little Google searching, do a little reading about this, and then because you really need to find the right practitioner that's even going to understand what to test for.
Correct.
And so will you post some things on your Facebook about this so that they can follow you and learn some more? You guys, when we're done with the live stream, there'll be a link. I tagged Monica's Facebook page. What is it called?
It's Your New Health.
It's Your New Health. And so you guys can follow that, and she'll post some follow-up information and stuff that we're talking about tonight, because I know we're going through a lot of information, and I know you're very interested in it, and I want you to find the accurate stuff. So she'll do that with you afterwards. Okay, so go ahead and follow her and check it out. Let's move forward a little bit through some more questions. Okay, first of all, I want to talk. Let's look at this question right here. First of all. This question came in from Beatrice. She said, hello, I'm a 3-month postpartum mom and exclusively breastfeeding. I was wondering, how long does the food we eat take for it to be in the breast milk? I'm trying to figure out if certain foods are not good for my baby. Mm-hmm. Okay. So let me start, and then you can talk about what a breastfeeding mom really needs to be eating. So it's 2 separate questions, really, because you're asking, when you eat something, how long does it take for that food to get into your breast milk so that if the baby's having a reaction to something that you're eating, and most commonly it would be like cow's milk. The cow's milk protein would be the thing that your baby may react to, and that usually goes into the milk very quickly and takes a really long time to come out. So it could be as quick as the next feeding, 3 hours, 4 hours, till the baby could actually be getting it into through the milk. And then if you're trying to cut it out of your diet to test and see is your baby reacting to something you're eating, it could take a couple of weeks of trying to be completely free of that food, specifically the dairy, to tell the difference if that's actually what the baby's reacting to. And most babies, I would say at least half, if not more, of human infants are intolerant of cow's milk proteins. And so you'll see that. People always say, I cut out everything in my diet. I'm eating plain chicken and rice, no vegetables, no spices, no nothing. And yet my baby's still gassy, and I'll say, are you drinking milk? Yes. And or cheese. And that would be the number one thing to cut out. So that's to answer her question. But let's move forward, because what you eat, and we've had this conversation. I just posted a big thing on my Facebook page that got a lot of controversial responses to it, but there's no controversy here. It was during a live stream I did the other day. When you eat something, what you eat when you're breastfeeding does not fully impact the quality of your milk. And I want to say that because the foods that you eat, your body will still create perfect milk for your baby. But if you're not eating well, you will suffer from not being healthy. And so it is still important to eat very well and to keep yourself healthy so that you heal properly, so that you have the energy. You're going for a long period of time without sleeping a lot, and it's a big drain on the body, first from being pregnant or going through a delivery, through a labor, or through a C-section, a surgery. So it's very important that you're taking really good care of yourself. That being said, there are certain things that will go through into the milk. And when we talked before about toxins, and we talked about heavy metals, and some of those things, that does transfer into the milk. So when I describe, yes, you want to be healthy, and try to choose more organic foods. Try to avoid the fishes with lots of mercury, not only for your own health, but that will impact your breast milk.
Yeah, in fact, in general, I recommend a woman before she gets pregnant, or if she's pregnant, actually if she's pregnant in general, I tell her to avoid to eat fish. and or between pregnancies.
Yes.
To use to eat a fish, a small fish.
The smaller the fish, the less
yes.
the heavy metals that are in them.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sardines are actually a great choice.
Exactly.
I eat sardines. My children eat sardines because we've been eating sardines since we were small. My grandfather used to feed me sardines, and so I started feeding my children sardines as babies. And if you don't like sardines, feed them to your children anyway, so that they will eat sardines. It's the truth.
There is one, that is where I buy my fish. I don't know if I can say it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is online, and they are probably some of the best quality of fish, and it's called Vital Choice.
Vital Choice?
Yes.
Okay.
They have a very good quality
Awesome.
of fish, and they're great sardines. Also the sardines and the salmon with the bones. That is what you need for the calcium.
Yes.
So sometimes I have a question from a patient and say, oh, I'm eliminating dairy, and what about the calcium? They are concerned about the calcium. So one thing you can eat is salmon with the bones. I tried some commercial one and they were horrible. I came across this and I was very skeptical.
Yes.
I tried it and I absolutely love it. My daughter, she loves it. And you know, kids, they are very finicky. So that is how you can replace the calcium. Also bone broth. Bone broth is very healing. It's good for the gut if you have gut issues. And make sure then you get the bones, then they are organic.
Awesome.
Lately at the store I saw
I bought it in like a container. I forgot the name. It starts with a C. It's a brand that Joe, what's the name of the bone broth? Joe's in the other room. Anyway, it's an organic bone broth that comes in a box, like on the shelf that you can buy, and it was pretty good.
I saw one Whole Foods, and it comes frozen.
Okay.
I don't know how long it's been cooked because you need the bones to be cooked for 18 to 24 hours. You can put it in a crock pot if you don't have the luxury to stay home for 18 hours. But that is one of the best things you can do for calcium. Make sure to put, if you make it yourself, to put a little bit of apple cider vinegar, because that is going to help to extract the calcium and all the nutrients from the bones. If somebody is vegan, at that point you can eat kale, you can have broccoli, watercress, bok choy, okra. Those are all good sources of calcium.
Awesome.
Yes.
Somebody was asking before, let's talk about it. Oh, he just put up the Pacific. That was the one that we got. It was like a, I'm not sure if it's good, so it's an organic bone, but it was easy. Let's put it that way. It was an easy one to find. Let's talk about, we're going to skip for a minute over to vitamin D, because I saw a lot of people were posting about vitamin D.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, because it's one of those things when we talk about milk and they think they're going to get vitamin D from their milk. Vitamin D, and I'll let Monica talk about it, is not really a vitamin. It's more like a hormone, right? And so you really do, you're not going to get it from your food. You're really not going to get most of it from your food.
Right. And also vitamin D is kind of like discriminatory, because if you are African American or if you have dark skin, you will have a harder time to absorb the vitamin D from the sun.
Yes. So you need to be taking a lot more of it.
Yes.
And when we talk about vitamin D, it's really vitamin D, and people think it literally is just like bones, bone health, and that's so not true.
No.
Vitamin D is so essential, and we've talked about this before, so essential for pretty much all, your entire body to function properly, to long-term prevention of cancer and heart disease and all other things. Autoimmune conditions. And if you're not getting adequate sun exposure to a certain percentage of your body, a large percentage per day, then you're probably not getting enough vitamin D, because the vitamin D is actually produced in your skin from sun exposure. And where we are here, even if you may be getting it in the summer, you might be outside a lot, and that may be adequate. But you're definitely not going to get it through the winter months where we're inside.
Right.
We're not sitting out
And
in the sun
also
sunbathing.
you have to have 75% of the body exposed to the sun.
It's a lot.
There is another thing then suggests then if you take a shower after sun exposure,
You're washing it off.
correct.
Yeah.
And I mean, when I'm out in the sun, I'm not gonna walk around for 24 hours
Totally.
without taking a shower.
Yeah, what I also read, tell me if this is true, that it's not, the water won't rinse it off.
No, exactly.
But scrubbing.
Yes,
So
the
this
soap.
is what I do. So when I'm in the sun, I'll go in the shower, but I'll only wash certain parts of my body.
I do the same thing. Exactly.
I'll stick to the parts that need it, and the
Exactly.
rest I
Yeah,
won't
yeah,
cover
yeah.
myself with soap, because
Yeah.
your arms, your legs, your trunk, your chest, the areas that are going to have the largest surface areas is where you want that vitamin D to be producing. You don't want to wash that off with soap.
And in general, what I do and what I recommend to patients, and including my daughter, to stay in the sun without sunscreen for 15 minutes. Because you're not gonna get burned, you will have only the benefits.
Yeah, it's really great. Let's talk about with the vitamin D, do their baby, because this is one of the things that what you eat or what you take, the supplementation or the sun exposure, is what will transfer into the milk.
Correct.
Because there's always recommendations for babies, if they're breastfed, to get extra vitamin D. Not all breastfed babies need extra vitamin D, and vitamin D is a fat soluble vitamin.
Yeah.
So it's not like you just pee out the remainder of it like a C or some of the water soluble. So you don't want to take too much, and then you want to take enough.
Correct. And if you look at your blood test, if your doctor ever tests you for vitamin D, they flag it if it's below 30.
Yes.
I think those standards are a little bit too low.
Yes,
In general,
agreed.
I look between 50 and 80. You don't want it like too high, but if it's below 50, you're deficient.
And most people are deficient. So if you get your D tested and you're deficient, don't be shocked, because the majority of us are deficient if you're not taking high doses of vitamin. I'm talking like 6,000 units a day.
Actually, 6,000 is not uncommon.
Right.
Because very often I see a patient with a level in the 20s. So in general, I give them 6,000.
Yeah. But most doctors, they think, what's the USDA, what is it, 400 units?
Yeah.
It's like the most ridiculous thing.
Correct.
So when I'm saying 6,000, it's because I'm comparing it to what you might read about the U.S. recommended daily allowance of 400 units. That's going to do nothing for you. You need thousands of units a day.
For example, in the Zymogen Prenatal, there is 2,000 IUs of vitamin D. Some women, they had to take additional vitamin D. Other women, maybe 2,000, it's okay. Also, they had to make a product, then it could be good for the majority of the population.
Right.
So if you are young and live in Florida and be out all day, that could be enough.
Yes.
So that's why it's very important to check the vitamin D levels.
Totally.
To make sure then you have. Another thing, very often, and again, check your vitamins. And if you want know if the vitamins you're taking are the right vitamins, or if you give vitamins to your children and you want to make sure then are good vitamins for them, you can post something on my Facebook page. It's Your New Health, and I will answer.
That's
to
great.
you.
That's great. They're going to have all kinds of questions. So
Put the brand.
go right over
I
to.
can look it up online.
That's awesome.
And if it's something then it's not online, or they don't have the ingredients online, just take the picture, post it, and I'm going to look it.
Awesome. Stephanie's saying she's taking 5,000 units daily, and should she have her levels checked again? You should have your levels checked.
Yes, every 3 months, exactly. One thing then, very often in the vitamin D, they have soybean oil. The problem with that, and that gives me an indication then, is a cheap vitamin. They use cheap oils.
Yes.
There is two problems with that. First of all, soybean oil is inflammatory, it's an inflammatory oil. Number two, is most of the soybean, especially in US, is genetically modified.
Yes.
So that we're going to talk maybe another time.
Yeah, and just so quickly, because there is a relationship to this to postpartum. So when we're talking, what Monica's describing is most of the soy is just not good in general for so many reasons. I don't eat any soy at all. It is almost all genetically modified. It has estrogenic properties to it which you don't want to be taking anyway, but then on top of it, it has a very strong impact on your thyroid function, which you're already at risk for postpartum. So postpartum women already have that risk of underactive thyroid issues, which is something we were going to talk about anyway when we talk about testing. There's a few tests that we talked about asking for blood work, and that would be your thyroid levels would be included in that. So your vitamin D, as we discussed, your
actually I will do all the vitamins.
All the test for all your vitamins, including the B vitamins, because that'll tell you, that'll give you an indication.
Magnesium also is very important. But
thyroid, but soy is one of those things that we won't get too in depth with, but really try to avoid in your diet.
Also, they have anti-nutrients, so prevent your body to absorb micronutrients.
Yeah.
So it should be avoided. Vitamin D is better to take in at nighttime before bedtime because it helps to convert melatonin to serotonin and pull the calcium into the bones. So don't take that in the morning, maybe take it at night.
That's wonderful. Let's talk for a moment about our prizes and then we'll come back to it. Yes. Let's take a break and talk about some prizes. So if any of you guys didn't hear the beginning of the show tonight, we have two awesome prizes, two of my favorites, two of my absolute favorites. One is the back buddy that you've seen behind Monica and myself this whole time. From Mom's Essentials, and someone's going to win a back buddy. These are amazing pillows that you can use. Isn't it so comfortable? Well, it sits you up in the couch so that you're not sinking, and they're great for the couch. They're great for your glider chairs when you're nursing, or even sitting up in bed to nurse. They just have that really firm support, that lumbar support for your back, which is really important when you're nursing to get good positioning, or if you've had a C-section or after delivery. Yeah. Bring it with you to the hospital, because to sit up and to be comfortable even in your hospital room, they're awesome. I have them, as you can see, all over my couch. We have many back buddies here, and we turn them upside down. We put our feet on them. You can do so many great things. I even had one mom say she turns hers upside down to do laid back nursing, so the baby's has a nice positioning on her. So if you want a back buddy, you just need to like or love this post, and then you can comment here, tell me that you want it, someone's going to win it. And one other feature I just have to say about the back buddy, because we all see how comfortable it is. We all see the pretty colors, and we see, aesthetically how nice it is, but what you don't get all the time is to understand how nice it is from the inside out. These are made with non-toxic foams that don't have any of the chemical off-gassing that we need to be careful of, okay? When we're talking about all these chemicals and chemical exposures in our foods, we also want to make sure that what we're breathing in or what our babies are close to, we're not using products that have chemicals in them, because we will breathe them in, and your baby will breathe them in too. So I love Back Buddy because they're so conscious of that, and many of the products that you'll see that look like a back buddy don't have the insides that the back buddies do. So that's one thing. And then the other prize we have is obviously Rumina Nursing Wear. I'm going to turn this around because I've got one here on the, you can see it here. Right. That's the Rumina nursing tank. And for those of you guys who haven't seen it, which I know a lot of you have, this is the tanks and bras, the pump and nurse tanks and bras. And so this is the tank I'm showing you. They also have a line of nursing bras that you can not only nurse with, but you see it's a hands-free pumping as well. So if you're using, you could use it for pumping, and you can also use it for nursing. And you can also use it when you want to nurse on one side and pump on the other. And there are no other hands-free products out there, I'll tell you right now, that you can nurse on one side and still have it hold the pump on the other, so you could spend all your time focused on the baby. And one of the best times to pump is when you're nursing, because you've got all that nice oxytocin flowing and the letdowns happening. And this is their new seamless bra here, and so this is super comfortable. I actually wear these myself because they're so comfortable. They're very comfortable. So we're going to be giving away a set of the Rumina nursing tank and bra. So if you want one of those, you just like, love, and comment here. All right. So thanks, guys. And I see Rumina and Back Buddy on here. So thank you. Love you, ladies, so much. Let's keep going here. I want to talk a little bit about the discomforts and the bleeding that moms experience postpartum, because it's not just about, we talked about this show, we wanted to give you information about the whole experience and what you can expect. And I too have some good, valuable information that I'd like to share with you from my experience as a midwife. Many of you may not know my full background. You hear me talking about breastfeeding a lot, but my career, I spent most of my career as a labor and delivery nurse and as a nurse midwife, taking care of moms during pregnancy, through their births, and through postpartum. And so let's talk a little bit about what to expect afterwards when it comes to, let's say, you're bleeding. The lochia, which is what it's called, is the blood that you'll have after delivery. And you're going to see this whether you have a vaginal birth or a C-section. You'll still have the lochia, and it'll only last, that bright red blood should only last for a few days, maybe 3-4 days, and then it'll turn to more of a pinkish color and last for about a week. And then from there, it'll turn to more of a yellowish, whitish discharge that can last for another 1 to 2 weeks. This is all completely normal, and you just want to watch to make sure that you're not getting a really bad odor, or that you're not developing a fever, or that you're not having real heavy bleeding. One of the signs that you look for after delivery with continued bright red bleeding could be retained placental fragments or retained membranes that could impact milk supply. Remember, even those little tiny bits of placenta or membrane could prevent your prolactin levels from fully coming in, could keep the progesterone up and not give you that transition that you need to make sure that your full milk supply comes in. So if you're seeing that bright red bleeding continuing, you definitely want to go back to your doctor, make sure that everything is normal. And usually it's totally fine, and nursing will actually help to keep contracting your uterus more. The other thing I wanted to talk about quickly was just if you've had an episiotomy, if you've had any kind of stitches or vaginal birth where you had any kind of tearing, or even if not, even if you just had a vaginal delivery, take that sitz bath home with you from the hospital, because one of the best things you could do to help heal that whole perineal area is to use the sitz bath to, the warm water is going to help to facilitate that healing. And remember that part of your body does heal fairly well. It usually heals without scarring. It is meant in some ways to be able to tear open a little bit and close easily and heal nicely. And there are some things that you can use to make that easier. There's a product that I love that I'm going to recommend, and you know how much I love the Earth Mama Angel Baby products. They make a bottom spray, and I don't know if any of you guys have used the bottom spray. Go ahead and post it there, because I love the bottom spray by Earth Mama. Amazing stuff. It feels so good to spray it on. It's so healing. It's so soothing. So that's a great thing. And then you just exposing it to the air a little bit as well. You're using pads. You're constantly having something on, but maybe go to bed without some underwear on, just to let the area heal. Air is always a great thing to help the healing take place. And then the last thing I'm going to say is, if you've had a C-section, or even after any pregnancy, we were talking about before the show, something that never gets recommended much here in this country is the idea of abdominal binding, or abdominal support for your incision and also for your abdominal muscles.
Absolutely.
And it's so important, and it makes such a huge difference. So if you're one of the mamas out there who have had a C-section, supporting the incision when you go to move, when you go to stand or walk or even sit back down is going to make a huge difference, so you can move around. And when you move around more, you're going to avoid more constipation. Right. Your back's not going to hurt. It just, being immobile is going to make things harder. So you want to do anything you can to keep yourself as comfortable as possible. And when you've been pregnant, those stomach muscles, they rip open during the pregnancy, and you need to wear a nice good binder to get that to go back. It's called a diastasis, where you can actually have a hole between the muscles, and all the sit-ups in the world are not going to fix that. Yeah. You need to wear a nice tight support binder afterwards. So do belly bands. Yes, that's what I'm talking about. There are things on the market. There are binders. There are postpartum support binders that they make that are fine, but you got to wear it. You got to wear it every day. And I know that you were saying you did that,
and I noticed a huge difference.
A huge difference. When I had my store, people used to come into the store. I could always tell that they had a C-section because they'd walk in slowly and they were holding. And people would come in, the same, like from the hospital, they were coming to see me, and I would immediately put one on. At first, it feels very tight, and you get a little bit nervous, like, oh, is this going to be okay? But within a few minutes of having it on, you're going to feel a total difference in being able to walk, to be able to move. Your back's going to stop hurting, and it's really important. How long should you wear it? Minimum 3 months, but I would wear it even longer. 6, 9 months. They make different ones with different strengths, but keep wearing it through the first year as long as you can. And as often as you can. It's going to help to flatten your stomach too.
I know, it makes it look better.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to lose that belly, the extra belly that you get without binding.
Well, something, and also I would like to talk because, of course, while we're pregnant, we gaining weight, and we all want to try to lose weight.
Yes.
After we had the baby. Just take your time. Don't do crash diet.
Yes.
You're supposed to lose only 1 or 2 pounds a month. Wait until, also if you're breastfeeding, most of the time you are gonna lose weight faster.
Definitely.
So it's like a win-win for the baby and for you.
Yep.
But don't try to rush on losing weight. Take your time, relax. You're always going to have the time later to lose weight.
Yep.
Just 1 or 2 pounds a month, that is enough.
Yep.
Just don't gain 1 or 2 pounds.
And that was, I was going to say, because lots of times moms will say, I could not lose weight while I was breastfeeding. And that is true for many moms. They don't lose weight. They have a very hard time. But then you really do need to look at, what are you eating? Sometimes you're so hungry when you're breastfeeding, so you can wind up eating more than your body actually requires.
And also, you're tired. Your mind up every 3 hours.
Yes.
So
or more.
Or more.
Yes.
Yeah. And you have a tendency to eat maybe a fast food, to eat a sandwich, and having like too much of the refined carbs.
Yeah.
So, or maybe your thyroid is not working properly.
Definitely.
Your hormones are off balance. So why you're not losing weight? There is always a cause. And those, I think, what you should be looking at. What you're eating, number one, and if you have a healthy diet with the right amount of protein, complex carbohydrate, not refined carbohydrate, sugar, avoid the sugar. I know we all love sugar, but
it's hard, but
yeah,
it will make you feel better.
Absolutely,
it really will make you feel, and it's an addictive thing.
Absolutely.
You crave it because you eat it. When you stop eating it, you stop craving it.
And also, you have energy, but you have a crash.
Totally. When I don't eat sugar, I feel so much better. And then I stop craving it altogether. But I notice that when I start eating more sugar, then I want it more.
And something then most people have an issue with, and I test again all my patients, is for how the body reacts to different parts of the protein in wheat, not just the gluten.
Yeah.
And that can also be a cause why they don't lose weight, or why maybe they have certain issues. If you have a thyroid issue, stop eating gluten now.
Yeah.
Because
it's connected.
Absolutely, yeah. Especially if you have an autoimmune.
There you go. And somebody was just asking, Stephanie was asking, what do I do if my thyroid is affected? Go ahead.
Well, First of all, you have to do a complete test. If you post this question on my Facebook page, I can put the test, all the tests that you need to do. You can go to your doctor. In general, they just do the TSH, and but I think is very
antibodies.
important. Very important antibody, because if you have an autoimmune condition, at that point has to be addressed in a different way.
Yep.
Talking about autoimmune, to develop an autoimmune disease, and it doesn't have to be just Hashimoto, it could be any type of autoimmune, from lupus to MS. You have to have three things in place. One is leaky gut, the other one is the environment, and the environment will be the food that we are eating, and the third is genetic. We cannot change the genetic, but we can control what is called epigenetic, what we expose our body. So, for example, somebody then is celiac, they will never develop celiac disease if they never eat gluten in their life.
Right.
So, knowing then when somebody has an autoimmune, I know they have a leaky gut. That means then the tight junction in your intestine are not tight anymore, so they spread apart. Undigested food particles, they go in the bloodstream. Your immune system does what it's supposed to do, attacks it.
Yes.
And after years, decades of that, your immune system gets confused and attacks itself, and it can attack any part of your body. And in general, who has one autoimmune, they end up to have another one down the road.
Because your body's reactive.
It's reacting to different things. There. And in general, with that, I do food intolerance. And again, rotate the food that you're eating.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes total sense.
And take a good probiotic. Most of the probiotic in the market, unfortunately, is a waste of money. So,
what would you say is a good one?
Well, there is a couple of companies that then are good. One is Claire Lab is good, and they are dairy free. They are hypoallergenic. They have a nymphat formula, and they have a children formula.
Okay.
And of course the adult. And another one with from Zymogen, then it doesn't need to be refrigerated. They are very good, and they have different strength.
Okay. Okay, great.
And also eat fermented food, kimchi, sauerkrauts, kombucha. So those are all pre and probiotics.
Awesome, awesome. I want to get to a question that keeps coming up, and it's something new that a lot of people are asking about. It has to do with, this came from Catherine. She said she's due with her baby boy number 2 this July. She's very anxious regarding postpartum depression. And we had a couple shows recently about postpartum depression. I want to talk a little bit about some of the nutritional ways that we can help. But she said, are there any steps I can take now and during delivery that can lessen the severity of postpartum depression? She obviously had it with her first, and she's having her placenta encapsulated.
Okay.
So I want to talk a little bit about things that can help with postpartum depression, things that we can do to prevent it or to minimize it, blues, depression, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about encapsulation of your placenta too, as much as I know about it. So go ahead.
Well, definitely have the right nutrients is very important. A person then has a genetic mutation, the MTHFR, especially then 1298. There is two mutations, the 677 and 1298. In general, within 1298 are more prone to that.
To postpartum depression.
Well, to
depression
and neurological conditions.
Okay.
So make sure that you take the right vitamins. Also sleep.
Which is not easy.
That is not easy.
Not
absolutely.
Easy.
Try not to want to do at all. If the laundry is not done, don't worry about. Go and sleep and rest. Ask your family member for help. Don't make any drastic decision. Do
It does this. There we go. I think we're back. Okay, go ahead.
So
What
those
about
are
oils?
oils. Oils are very good. You're talking about essential oils or oils
No,
when we are eating?
we're eating for
The one exactly. So oils are very important. Coconut oil also is very good. It's antimicrobial.
Would this
And
help with depression, with mental?
also, yes, if you don't have omega-3, if
Yes.
you're lacking of omega-3, that could be also a cause of depression. Vitamin D, low vitamin D. In general, if you have a baby, maybe in the winter months, and if you are more sensitive to seasonal depression,
Yes.
that can accentuate to that. One of the things you can do is you can buy online, or I think even Home Depot, they might have it. Those lights, then they mimic the sunlight.
Yeah,
So
seasonally
that can
really-
help. Yeah.
And let's talk a little bit about placental encapsulation. This is a new thing that a lot of moms are asking about. A lot of moms are choosing to do. There are services that do this. What they basically do is take your placenta, you give it over to a service that actually dehydrates the placenta, and then what they do is grind it into a powder that they put into capsules. And depending on the size of your placenta is how many capsules can be made out of the your placenta. So bigger placentas, you'll have more capsules. Smaller, and what I've read about it is that your placenta, the size of your placenta will actually determine how many capsules you even need. It's kind of amazing. And if you look at all other mammals, they eat their placentas,
Right.
okay? So I know that sounds really. I'm not talking about like eating it like a steak. We're talking about taking capsules and using it for the hormones. And there's a lot of hormones in the placenta. And they don't have a lot of research. There are a couple studies that are quite old, like from 1920 and 1950, where they were looking at this, which makes sense because probably there weren't as many other options that they, pharmaceuticals that they were turning,
Right.
like they do to turn towards today. But they did do another study, I think in 2016. It was a good study that just looked at what hormones, what were the hormones that were in the placenta itself, and they did find that all the good hormones that you need are in the placenta. They didn't study whether that would have an impact on the body, and they also showed that they could help with iron deficiency anemia. It helps to build your iron stores, so that was one of the benefits as well. So it's helping to replace some of the hormones that you can be low after delivery that can lead to postpartum depression, and it can also help with anemia. There's a big study going on right now at University of Nevada, Las Vegas. They're doing a very large study on this. Some preliminary stuff was based on a very small sample, but there's something coming out this year. And what they are seeing is that there's no harm. Okay, so
Right.
that's I think probably the important part in all of this, is that sometimes we don't have all the exact evidence. Maybe the research hasn't been done yet. Some of it is so new that we don't know exactly what is all the benefits of it. But when I think about it logically, and I look at animals in the wild and all other mammals, and even throughout history, that other cultures that would eat and ingest the placenta, there's a reason. And,
Right.
and beyond eating somebody else's placenta, you're not doing that, obviously. There's no contamination risk or, anything like that. So there's no, and also you want to make sure that you're using a good company that does this, so that they're handling the placenta properly, because like anything else, it can go bad if it's not refrigerated and frozen. And the best way to encapsulate it is to do it fresh. But if you've frozen your placenta, which many people do that, it can be taken from frozen and still dehydrated out to make capsules. So there you go. I wish I did it.
Me too.
We didn't do
Yeah.
it. Back then nobody was talking about it. So you guys have some benefit there if you are, let's see, what did you write here? You read a lot of recent articles. There's not much benefit from, yeah, it's really interesting because, yeah, Rebecca, I don't know. There's not a lot of research, I have to say. There's not a lot of research on it, but sometimes what we see is a lot of people reporting benefit for themselves. So we're talking about anecdotal, responses from moms who say that it helped. And again, you've got to decide for yourself. It's something that I know a lot of people ask me about, so I wanted to cover it a little bit. There you
Also
go.
something that is pretty new, so the research
It's
is
new.
gonna
It's always
come
we're
later.
catching up with
Absolutely,
it.
yeah.
Yesterday I was at a conference all day on tongue ties and lip ties.
And that is linked also to the MTHFR.
There
I don't
you
want
go.
to keep talking about
But we're doing a whole
MTHFR,
show.
but,
I have Dr. Scott Siegel coming on in 2 weeks to do my show with me on tongue ties and lip ties. And I know you guys have been waiting for this for a while. But that too is like some new research, you know, and you'll hear even doctors, pediatricians saying, it's a fad. And this is something that is so important. So like everything, sometimes the research and the evidence needs to catch up with the reality of what we're doing, and you always have to weigh the risk versus the benefit and look at it and say, make your own choices for yourself and say, you know what, it sounds like it would be the right decision for me. If I was a mom with a history of severe postpartum depression or just depression in my life,
absolutely,
I would definitely be looking at this because I can't see the harm.
Right.
And I'd be looking for any way to make it better. Yeah. So there's our conversation on placental encapsulation, and we're actually it's after 10 o'clock already. So we are. See how fast this goes. So I think we're going to let's get some hearts going across the screen and thank Monica for joining us tonight.
And thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming. This was a great. Did you guys enjoy this conversation? There was a lot of information, and as Monica said, if you guys have questions, if you want to learn more about stuff that she was talking about, go to her Facebook page. I have the link right here in the post, so it's easy for you to go right over there. Follow her on Facebook and go ahead and post your questions to her, anything that we may have talked about. And this video will be up on my page too for you guys to rewatch. I know we went through a lot of information, okay? And make sure that you like and love it, and somebody's going to win the Back Buddy and the Rumina Nursing Tank and Bra set, okay? So I'm going to say goodnight to all of you. 2 great shows coming up. Next week is Baby-Led Weaning with Ms. Dawn. Okay, she's going to be my guest here for, we're going to learn about introducing solids while you're breastfeeding and baby-led weaning. And then 2 weeks from tonight, Dr. Scott Siegel on tongue ties and lip ties and everything you want to know about that. He is the guy to listen to. I'm so excited. So look forward to that. And have a wonderful night. I love you guys very much, and we will see you soon. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye. Bye.